That's the one thing about our audience. They always want a new guy to break through the glass ceiling.
All you have to do is just be real.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. I am the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, talking is done, you're out of your class, no sleep till Brooklyn, The Rock whips your ass. Woo!
I wish you and King would quit talking.
Welcome to Around the Ring, episode 94. I am your host, Floyd and Savior Johnson. And with me, as always, is my co-host, Dave Silky Brown. How are you doing today, Dave?
I am well. I am sun-drenched. I've been out in the sun the last 2 days, walking around, telling people where to go, and I'm ready to talk some wrestling.
All right, that's good. And actually, that gives us a starting point because good news today. I'm happy to report Dave watched wrestling this week.
I did, man. Not only did I watch NXT, I watched the opening segment of Raw, which that one I tend to watch every week. And I watched the most recent episode that's on the Ring of Honor website, which I know is technically last week's, but whatever. And yesterday, I got to see, for the first time, live and in person, the Imperial Wrestling Revolution, and it was awesome. So we'll get to that here in a little bit.
All right. Now, actually, let's start how we have been for the last couple weeks. So at this point in time, if you are a wrestling fan and you hate this part of our show, skip about 5 to 10 minutes ahead. So what TV did you watch this week?
I watched the opening segment of Raw. I watched NXT and Ring of Honor.
No, I was talking about
other TV. Yes. Oh, yes. Sorry, I botched that like crazy. So this week I got caught up on Supergirl and The Flash. I also got caught up on Gotham, and I watched the latest episode of Lucifer. So I am the only comic book show that I'm currently watching that I'm not caught up on is Arrow, and I'm hoping to do that at some point today. But yeah, The Flash was so good. No, actually, I'm still one episode behind on Supergirl. So I know Superman's coming back. I can't wait. And I will have to say, Supergirl, they've done an amazing job with the guy they got to play Superman. Having this fully formed Man of Steel is just awesome. The guy, he's not the most ripped, buff guy in the world, but it works. He has the presence. His Clark Kent is fantastic. And there's part of me that's like, can we get this guy a show? Can we just can we get a Superman show, please? Because he is incredible. And I know he and General Zod are coming soon to an episode of Supergirl, so I'm looking forward to that. But I did watch I guess it was 2 weeks ago, that episode. So yeah, I'm almost completely caught up on my superhero stuff. How about you? What'd you watch this week?
I think I told y'all last week about Fargo.
Yes.
I watched season 1. I finished season 1 of Fargo. And then I actually, yesterday, because I had to work a 12-hour day, and Saturdays are kind of hit and miss as far as being busy, I finished the whole season 2 of Fargo yesterday. I'm not much of a binger, so I can tell you that season 2 was better than 1, even though they were both great. And it was very compelling. Season 2 was almost like a who's who of people in the show. I mean, you had like Patrick Wilson was in it, Bokeem Woodbine, Brad Garrett was in it, Gene Smart played the matriarch of a crime family, Jeffrey Donovan played the crazy, out of control brother, which if anyone knows from Burn Notice, you could imagine him playing that pretty well. It was very, very compelling show. It takes a lot of twists and turns. They do this aspect that it's based on a true story that may very well be based on a true story. Any passionate Fargo fans out there could definitely tell me if it's true. But Yeah, it's, my friend Noel is the recommendation of this show. It's pretty amazing. And so, yeah, I definitely recommend if you have Hulu or have Hulu FX. I definitely check it out. They have a season 3, but based on how the show is run, I think I would only like it if it's a bingeable show to me. I wouldn't want to watch it on a weekly basis. So I'm just going to wait until season 3 is over. I also started the sitcom Blackish.
Oh my God, that show is amazing.
And I had never watched that before. I don't like, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a binger. So when a show is too serious, I kind of need a palate cleanser after like 2 or 3 episodes. Blackish worked that way. I would watch 2 or 3 episodes of the show, and then I would watch, I watched 2 or 3 episodes of Fargo, and then I'd palate cleanse for a moment with a couple episodes of Blackish, and it's very, very funny. But then after like episode 6 of Fargo, there was no more palate cleanser. I needed to know how it ended, so I went ahead and finished that out. So it was TV. I keep up with, it's kind of cool to have you, because I keep up with Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow. I'm all caught up on all of those shows. There's quite a bit. There's quite a bit more shows that I'll watch. Scorpion, Elementary. I'm caught up on all those shows. I am not caught up on Gotham. That is going to be an after-season binge for me.
That works. Gotham this season has really has turned it around. It's gotten a lot better. Season 2 was a little meh at points, but season 3 I think they've done a really, really good job with, and I'm enjoying it. I also do think it is one of the best, if not the best, on-screen, fully realized depictions of Gotham City in that show. They've done this amazing job of getting the sets and just the feel of the city itself. They've just nailed it, I think.
Because you would imagine, for Batman to be needed, for Batman to be to be accepted, it had to be so bad that you didn't feel safe at all. So I definitely like that about it, is that it is setting up this world that is so horrible. There is no hope, and when there's no hope, even some extremes would be accepted.
Exactly. And I will say on Blackish, I think it is such a great piece of social commentary that it's kind of the social commentary you can only really do through humor. But the other thing is they make fun of everybody, because it could be, you run into troubles when you have shows that are based on certain groups of people, because it can become almost a like, hey, let's show how awesome this group is to the detriment of everyone else. And in Blackish, they make fun of everyone equally. I mean, they take apart elements of every types of bits of American culture, whether it's African American culture, white folks they make fun of. They just tear everything apart, but in a way that shows that, hey, we have to laugh at absurdities in life, and we're all people. And I love that about that show. The other thing I forgot to mention earlier, the kids and I finished 13 Reasons Why, and holy crap, what a show that was. It just had such a great, it was just so powerful. I cannot recommend it enough, but it is dark. Do not watch it if you were in a bad place emotionally, because it is super dark. But it's incredible. I loved it.
Yeah, I keep hearing good things about it. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I mean, some things can be a really good show, but it ultimately, it's about suicide. So you got to go to a pretty dark place.
Yes.
For that to be for that to be like your resolution for something. So that being said, I don't know. I'm ready to go there. I think it'll have to be like I have literally ran out of things to watch for that to happen. I already, Dear White People is very much the next thing I really plan on getting into. It's a lot more abrasive social commentary than Blackish, but yeah, the thing I find funny about Blackish is that it does address the whole black-white, how black people see white people see black people, how black people see other black people, and how in this dark community, even the things that I talk about in the black community as when you become successful, trying to, as they say, stay black, and I always think that is its own kind of black hole, to pardon the pun there, that to try to keep up with being anything. So, like I said, I love the show. I'm looking forward to it. I'm in season 1. I'm looking forward to discovering more about it. I think Anthony Anderson and, oh my God, Lawrence Fishburne, his character is just hilarious.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic, and the lady who plays the main character's mom is hysterical. And then there's the guy who, oh God, I'm blanking on all of their names right now. But there's another guy at
that works with
that works with him. The other black guy. Have you come to that episode yet?
Yes,
Charlie. Charlie's the character's name.
He's stereotypical. He plays the overly stereotypical black guy.
Oh, but he is so, as it goes on, he gets crazier and crazier. And he and Diane, the little girl, they have this very confrontational relationship. It is so hysterical. Yeah, and he leaves for a while and then comes back. No, sorry, spoilers there. But he is, I love him. He cracks me up. Just the whole dynamic of that show. And then the white guys in the office, especially the boss. Oh man, that dude.
Yeah, he's so unapologetically white. So he's like, I am who I am.
Yeah, it's a great show. Oh man, did you see? Was there anything else worthwhile on the TV that you watched this week?
If you think about that, in the 10 to 13 hours of wrestling I watch every week, I was pretty tapped out on TV.
Yeah, you were, Matt. Now, are you planning on, or have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
I plan on, because after we get done with the show, I have promised my girl we're going to go work out, and then we're going to go catch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Nice. I'm hoping.
And for me, this is considered a long time without seeing it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to go maybe tomorrow to catch one of those, because the AMC's here in Oklahoma City, if you had a movie before 4:00, it's like $4. So,
yeah, that's the plan, to try to make it to an early one. I saw the movie Slight. I don't recommend it.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Well, I guess we should probably get on to some wrestling in this wrestling podcast.
I warned them.
Yeah, you did.
A little TV talk, but just start with that. So, all right, let's get into the week of wrestling. Let's start with yesterday, because it's the most fresh on your brain. How was the IWR show at the Norman Music Festival?
It was actually the Rose Rock Music Festival.
Rose Rock,
and it's down in Noble, Oklahoma. It was a lot of fun, and I need to actually. I should have pulled up their website because I can't remember all of the dudes' names. So one quick second.
Did the Truth wrestle?
He did, and that's something I want to talk about. Is some of the guys who I think have the good long-term potential. There's a guy named hold on, let me it was broken down into two sets. That noon they wrestled for they had 3 matches. One of them was a basically an Iron Sheik type character, and he was so he had a couple lackeys with him. And he was so stereotypical, anti-Muslim character. I was like, oh man, this is bad. I think it's Al Farrat.
Yeah. He's actually, good Lord. I know who you're talking about, and I wanted to add to it, so I'm trying to bring up the site real quick because he's actually pretty. They definitely play the kind of it's an old school wrestling type thing, including that's what the Wrestling Revolution is. Is that it's very much kind of like a old school wrestling with a new school twist.
Yes, yeah. So he was, and he was crazy. But the thing that cracked me up, he had these two guys with him. But during one of the matches, they also had a female come out dressed in the hijab, or I almost called it a habib, which is
he's Al Farrat.
Al Farrat, yeah. But
the Arab legend.
He had this lady come out in the full head to toe Muslim garb, and I'm just sitting here laughing. I'm like, oh my god, if Vince McMahon tried to do this, the outrage would be unreal. But it worked. I mean, they got booed. There were some pretty cheap Heat USA chants. It's a good gimmick for for Oklahoma, because it's good cheap heat. So he had a match, and I forget against who. El Fuego del Sol had a match against somebody, and he won. He holds one of their titles right now. And he was in the first batch. And then the Magnificent Malico. This guy is like a star waiting to explode. He's got these dreadlocks. He looks like someone who tried out for ICP, was told he wasn't good enough, which is just funny in and of itself, and then lost his ever-loving mind. And he's not a juggalo, but he's almost like this caricature of a juggalo. It's like the juggalo Bray Wyatt, but crazier. And then he had this guy come with him to the ring that was like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. He was awesome. And then he walked around. He just owns that gimmick. He has it so down. He's one of those guys that I watch. I'm like, okay, this guy has potential, in bigger things. There was who else was there? There was dude Cody Dixon. I think he had a match. Yeah. He's a good. He actually is. I think was one of Farrat's guys, because he's pretty tall and buff. Charles the Truth Hopkins, that guy is all super ripped. The ladies, they like the Charles Hopkins. He has potential. Do what?
Chandler the Truth. Chandler.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Chandler Hopkins. I'm misreading. Yeah.
I actually follow him on Facebook. He's actually really good.
Yeah, he is. He's good.
He really has the physique to do what you need to do. He does not have what you call an independent physique. He is.
No. He looks like he's going to go far. And Malico does not have, he has a Bray Wyatt-esque physique.
Yes.
The Truth has a WWE physique. Cody Dixon has a WWE physique. And then there was Coyote? I think that's how you pronounce it. Coyote. He had a match, and he is a great heel. But then he had a match against the Truth that I think he won. And then
the Arrow Club.
The Arrow Club. Those guys were great. Kyle Hawk came out, attacked the Truth after the match. He was cutting up. That man can cut some promos. Cut a blistering promo. He, in fact, there were these kids. There were some kids who were super into it, really screaming and really getting into it. And he was yelling at these kids. Yelling at these parents. I will punch your kid in the face. And I was laughing so hard. But in the middle of the promo, It was. I think the Truth tried to like mount a comeback, and in the middle of it, Jerry the Boss Bostic came out because Jerry and Kyle Hawk were going to have a match, and so he came out and started fighting. And now Jerry is the guy he's the owner, correct?
Yes, he is.
Okay. He's the owner. He's the promoter. He's the guy I was in contact with to set this up, and super nice guy. And the thing, okay, so you talk about the guys here who all have potential. If you just charisma alone, Jerry's probably the most charismatic guy that I saw.
Yeah, he's been wrestling for a long time.
Yeah, and in fact, when I asked him at one point before the second show set, it's like, "Are you wrestling?" He said, "Yeah, unfortunately." And afterward, the poor guy looked like he was in bad shape. He did take a pretty nasty bump. There was a pavilion. We were right by this pavilion that was made out of metal, and at one point he was thrown pretty hard into a couple of the metal rails. Kyle Hawk took a flying bump over a table onto the grass that looked like it sucked. It was funny. He one of the biggest pops is Jerry busted out a Stone Cold Stunner at one point. That was really good. Kyle Hawk hit a rock bottom and a people's elbow, or he went for the people's elbow, but it got reversed. And Jerry won with a leg drop of doom, which cracked me up. But then after that, the Coyote came back out. The Aero Club destroyed Jerry. Truth came back out. Aero Club destroyed him, and they have a show tonight in Seminole. And so they're promoting, saying, "Hey, you need to come out to the show in Seminole." Their ring announcer guy is also really good. This really tall dude with super long hair, like really good looking guy. He's got that bit down. There was another match that had this really this. I mean no offense by this, but this really fat dude who they called something like something about the ladies love him or something.
Ray the Bay.
Yes. And he came out.
Plays a Baywatch character called
yes. He was hilarious. And when he got fired up at one point, he was like, he came out wearing shorts and a shirt. The shirt came off at some point, and at one point he gets fired up and he drops his shorts. He's got trunks on underneath it. And I mean, he is built. I mean, he's not like the Beer City Bruiser fat, but he's a large, rotund man. And he did a good job. He flew around in the ring. It was but the whole thing was really entertaining. Really enjoyed it. If you have a chance to go see Imperial Wrestling Revolution out there, go check them out. You can see their website. It's imperialwrestlingrevolution.com. We actually have a link to their site on our website at aroundtheringok.com, so you can check it out. They're on the Facebook, on the Twitter, and on the YouTube. And some of the first set was filmed, and the guys were doing commentary, so I'm assuming it's going to show up on a future episode on their YouTube channel. I hope, at least.
I was going to say, I really want to put them over because they bring in, I mean, their shows are quality. Don't get me wrong. I want to say the people that work with the regular shows, Chris Cambridge, Jerry Bostic, Chandler Hopkins, Alpha Rock, the Aero Club. And it's funny, just to say this, Coyote used to be one of their most over people, and he went heel. And so they are all really, really good, all good wrestlers, put on a great show. But they also bring in a lot of outside performers that you normally wouldn't get to see in Oklahoma. Earlier this year, they brought in Maria and Mike, and that was they get a part of the show. And they have the big show later this year called Oklahomania. You will hear more about Oklahomania on the show. Plus, for people that are interested, we will be giving out a couple tickets on the show. And it's more not to get the show over more, to get in local wrestling over, Imperial Wrestling over. Like I said, me and Jerry we can communicate on Facebook. I'm not saying we're best friends or anything, but we communicate on Facebook. He's a big Miami fan. He's an Oklahoma person through and through. Born in Ardmore. He's just a good guy that just loves putting on shows. A lot of the shows they do are for charity. Like today's show in Seminole is for charity, is supporting Zoe. I don't even know really what that's about, but the fact that they will take bumps and do all that stuff just to, try to help people out. You got to, what they put their bodies through. And this is what he does. This is who he is. He is a wrestling guy, and he'll talk old school wrestling with you any day. He very much is focused on the family-friendly product that they have. So, support local wrestling.
Yes. And there was another team I forgot because they had a triple threat tag team match at one point, but there was I think they're called the Heat Seekers.
Yeah, Montega Seeker, the Heat Seeker. Yeah.
Yep. And what was so hilarious? They're two black guys, and one of them looks kind of like Kevin Hart, the shorter guy, and so the crowd kept chanting Kevin Hart at him, and it was hilarious. The other cool thing about this is the first time, so the Rose Rock Music Festival, this was the 36th annual. It's something that's been going on for a long, long time in Noble. It's a big tradition. And for those of you who don't know or are unfamiliar with Oklahoma, just a quick geography lesson. The Oklahoma City metro area goes from, on the extreme north, you have the town of Edmond, and at the extreme south, you have Norman. Well, south of Norman is a whole other set of communities. The Noble butts up right to Norman. I mean, they really could be marketed as part of the greater Oklahoma City metro area, but they're not. So it's a small, semi-rural, but semi-urban, suburban community. And it is also the capital of Rose Rocks, which it's a type of rock formation that apparently only form in Noble. I didn't even know what the hell Rose Rock was until I started working down in Noble, so please don't ask me to explain what those are because I don't know. Anywho, this festival has been going on forever, and my boss at the library asked me to be on the planning committee because they like to always have a member of the library on the planning committee for the festival. So I joined that, and it was something I did all last year, and it was a lot of fun. And just in one meeting, we were talking about what's going on and planning everything. I said, well, what about bringing in some wrestling? And of course, they looked at me like I was insane. And you could see in their eyes they had visions of old world-class championship wrestling footage, man, of the crazed white trash masses down in Dallas, Texas, missing teeth, kissing the Von Erichs as they're coming out. And they were like, "What? We're trying to." I think someone even said we're trying to class this up at one point. And I laughed. I was like, "No. You have to understand." Wrestling is not about that anymore. It's basically a bunch of nerds.
It really is. It really is.
And so they were like, okay. And that was the point I asked Floyd. I was like, so who should I contact? And Floyd suggested the IWR folks. And so I reached out to Jerry. We emailed back and forth for months. Finally got it nailed down. They came out yesterday. Had a great time, but the coolest thing is none of us had any idea how it was going to be received. If they were going to perform and there was going to be like me and one other person standing out there or what. And the way this festival works is there's a stage on one end in one area, and then there is what is normally the parking lot for City Hall has set up all of these vendor booths. And there's an area with a bunch of food vendors, and then there's a carnival over by, and so there are tons of people milling around. But not a lot of people actually go hang out at the stage. And it's a lot of country artists, local bluegrass, cover bands. So not a lot of people actually go to the stage. And And when the wrestling came on, there were a lot of people around the ring. And one of the folks who's been working on the committee for a long time said, this is probably one of, if not the biggest crowd we've ever had. It just, as people coming into one spot. So wrestling is alive and well. Independent wrestling is a draw, and we're most likely going to have them back next year. It was a lot of fun. Meeting Jerry was nice. They were all super nice. They all took time to take pictures with people afterwards. And I was actually surprised the number of people that were really into it. And there was a group of high school students that were like front and center. And then when it was time for the second show, they came back right front and center. They were screaming things at the wrestlers. I don't think any of them were like, hardcore wrestling fans or anything, but they all enjoyed it. And I think everyone that watched it was really thoroughly entertained. So I'm looking forward to having them back. I'm looking forward to going to Oklahomania if all goes well. I really want to go. So yeah. And Oklahomania is it's IWR's big event, and it's really a super indie event. It's, if you've ever looked at some of the like PWG bills or some of those big super shows that AAW does up in Chicago, or a big time wrestling out in the Boston area, and then there's another one in Texas whose name I can't remember. But if you're ever looking up any of those shows and you look at just the list of people that's on those bills, and you're like, oh my God, it's a who's who of independent wrestling. That is what Jerry brings in for Oklahomania. In fact, if you go to their website and you look at wrestler profiles, you scroll down a bit, and you get into these people who have been at Oklahomania and who have come in for their bigger shows. And it's just to rattle off a few here. We've got Hall and Nash, X-Pac, but he might not be coming anytime soon because, bless his heart, he's got arrest problems. Sting, the Hardys, Scott Steiner, MVP, James Storm, Lance Hoyt, Dalton Castle. I'd love to see Dalton Castle. Hanson, Moose, Abyss, EC3, John Morrison, Bull Dempsey, Ricochet, Matt Sydal, Rhino, the Von Erich boys, the kids who are the sons of one of the Von Erichs, I guess. Kevin, right? They're Kevin's kids, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay.
Marshall and Ross.
Yeah. Other people who've come in the past: Jinder Mahal, Donovan Dijak, Roderick Strong, Rock and Roll Express, Bobby Eaton, Natty, Dr. Death, Steve Williams, the Dudleys, R-Truth. Yeah, I mean, it's Sabu, Luger. Lex Luger's made appearances. They have pulled in just a cornucopia, who's who of independent wrestling. So yeah, anytime if you hear of any independent wrestling coming near you, you should go check it out. But if you hear of Imperial Wrestling Revolution coming, you need to go to the show because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Most importantly is on autographs and pictures with these people, they do keep the prices fairly low. They are very much aware that this is Oklahoma, and they try to give you a good value. When I went, one of my first shows, I think the most expensive person there was Jake the Snake, and I think it was like a t-shirt, autograph, and a picture for $40, which is, I don't know if you've ever seen the prices on those things. They can get really expensive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so
they can.
Just know that's a really, really good price to go meet wrestlers. So I think when I went, like most of the wrestlers, it's $10 for an autograph, $10 for a picture, and it's a picture with your cell phone. But you know what? That's actually, like I said, it's really, really good. They don't care if you throw 2 to 3 people in there. It's a good time. So yeah, definitely. We have done what we can to put over Imperial Wrestling today. We definitely appreciate you for working with Dave yesterday. So you will hear more about them and when their shows are coming up and things like that. We will definitely get you ready on the road to Oklahomania, and with it comes with who's going to be there. I know Nash and Hall this year are going to be at Oklahomania, but we'll give you more names as we get them.
Awesome, yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and shift gears a little bit and talk about the where the big boys play.
Yes,
the ones who took over the big boys play. Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw this week. Very, very good episode of Monday Night Raw. The main event was amazing. We had a lot of things break down on this week. We started with one of, if I have to say, the best heel promos I've heard this year. It was with your new Raw Women's Champion and first ever woman to be Raw and SmackDown Champion, Alexa Bliss, in the middle of the ring. She was standing on kind of a podium thing with all the wrestlers around her, and she basically rips through everybody on the roster except for Nia Jax. It was this funny moment where she was just walking around, just basically she rips into Sasha, because it starts off as, I want to thank you for helping me do this. She rips into Mickie James, rips into Sasha, and she's about to just like really rip into Emma, and she accidentally bumps into Nia Jax. Well, if anybody is on social media, you know Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss are like best friends. They even call themselves Team Rude, as in on the outside. Well, this look, Nia staying in character. This look when Alexa bumps in her and Nia gives her this look, and I'm just like, wow. I'm like, if old school Floyd, 6-7 years old, would have thought they had some, like, oh my gosh, she absolutely hates her. And it was just this funny moment, because as she's ripping through everybody, she bumps into Nia. She's like, no, we're good. Yeah, we'll team up later today. Later. And it was just this hilarious moment where it's like, because she's so heelish, she knows her limits. So I want to keep Nia on my side. It was a very cool moment in the show. Did you watch that one? Because it's the opening segment.
I did. That was a great opening segment. And that bit where, because she's kind of backing up as she bumps into Nia, and just look on Alexa's face, we're good here.
Yeah, we're good here.
And it was Alexa Bliss. I mean, she's getting better in the ring. Just about every big match I see her in, I think she improves. But her mic skills are just off the charts. Her character work is so next level good.
It's funny, as far as Charlotte, as much ahead of the game as Charlotte is when it comes to everybody else wrestling, Alexa is that much ahead of everybody else when it comes to mic work.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, that is very much, Alexa Bliss is so good at getting heat. I mean, people love her, but then she knows how to make them boo her. She knows how to get the reaction that the show wants, which is very veteran of her. It's Miz level, because everyone wants to cheer the Miz, but he doesn't let them. And Alexa Bliss is the same way. She's just so mean, especially to Bayley. And she was so mean to Bayley, really tearing her down, talking about her dad watching her lose and everything like that. Bayley, the good girl, snapped and just attacks Alexa Bliss. And it was hilarious. And it was like, okay, and let me just say this. Let's see some personality from Bayley. Like, I understand Bayley is charismatic and she's the friendly, she's the hugger. It's just, I am big on character development. I want to see all sides of every character. I want to feel like I will know what the character I would do in every situation. And that, of course, that's supposed to unfold over years. I don't want to know that in a month or two. But I thought what the Attitude Era used to do better is character development, because of course there wasn't, as I've been pointing out, there wasn't a ton of wrestling back then. The matches weren't that long. So character development was a huge part of the show. I would like to find more of a happy medium because a lot of these wrestlers do very much play one-dimensional characters. So seeing Bayley snap and throw the first punch even after being teared down to so much level, I think that adds a little bit to her character development.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, and that turned into a match, did it not?
It did. It turned into the dreaded six-man match. I hate six-man matches. Always will hate six-man matches. But in this case, there was a story to it being a six-man. When she was tearing everyone down, or eight-man, excuse me. Oh, my God. Eight-woman match. It was the whole roster, the whole women's roster, the heels versus the faces. And she didn't tear down Alicia Fox or Emma. Or Nia Jax. So it did make sense that they were a team against Bayley, Sasha, Mickey, and the face Dana Brooke, who, it's funny when she's in the 8-man, it just shows how bad she has. And like I said, I hope she finds a way to reverse it, but she just looks like a fish out of water when it comes to wrestling now, and it's bad.
And who would? Okay, I'm sorry, I got lost in all those names. Who is that again? That's really bad.
Dana Brooke.
Oh God, yes. Oh my God, it's so
hard with the 8 people.
Yeah.
Because Alicia Fox is actually a pretty good worker. You know, Emma's another level worker. Think about it. It's like all the women in this match can work except her. So when she had that moment of wrestling, it's like, oh my God, she's so bad. And then you just kind of like move on. Is this almost over type thing?
Yeah, she needs to go back to NXT.
I mean, if that'll help her. I mean, she needs to do whatever will help her. To me, have no problem people with valet role. I know some people think that's a step back for women, but now you have James Ellsworth basically playing the valet. So it's like, okay, so if an actual woman played the valet, it would be okay. So, and it doesn't have to be a valet. It could be more of a managerial role. Because Dana's actually pretty, she's okay on the mic. So if you wanted to make her into some type of managerial role or put her in like the relationship role that she's in a real relationship with Dolph Ziggler, move into SmackDown, maybe have him come out with her, that might help her career. But right now, she's kind of in this area where she can become irrelevant really quick.
Yeah, she needs something because it's not working, and really they just need to make her a mouthpiece. Because she's so good at that. Like I mentioned last week, when she was working with Gallows and Anderson for a short time there was awesome. Let's just put her back with somebody. What else happened on Raw?
All right, so we got to this part where they were talking about the Intercontinental Championship. I honestly don't remember all the way how it broke down. No, I do remember. Seth Rollins comes out, and they talk about what's next for Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins basically says he wants Brock Lesnar. And so he goes on about how I wanted Brock Lesnar. And then you hear the music. The Demon Finn Balor comes out. He was not in demon garb. He says he wants Brock Lesnar. And, he's going to get Brock Lesnar. Then Dean Ambrose comes out, and he basically puts over the Intercontinental belt as he's actual champion that's here and actually willing to defend the title. Good job, WWE, doing that, because they're trying to, but I need everyone to don't forget the fact that they let Brock Lesnar kidnap the Universal belt. Stay woke. And then The Miz came out, and he's like he should be, basically runs down Dean Ambrose for being the Intercontinental Champion. They all get in a little argument about who's going to be the go after the Intercontinental belt. Dean, and one of the few times I found him entertaining in a long time, he basically picks up the phone, calls Kurt, and makes a triple threat match for the end of the night. It is The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor for the number one contender to the Intercontinental Championship. So, that's a thing now. Being the number one contender to the U.S. title, being the number one contender to the Intercontinental title is an actual thing. And you can thank Brock Lesnar for that and the kidnapping of the title. It actually is gonna, let me just say this. Whoever takes the belt away from Brock, Roman Reigns, it's gonna do a lot for him if your name wasn't Roman Reigns. If it ended up being Dean, Seth, any of those 4 people, it would do a lot for their career. Especially if Miz wanted to do it in a very heel way, it would do a lot for his career because he could talk for the next 5 years about that time he beat Brock Lesnar. But you're going to do it, you're going to give it to Roman, and nobody wants to see it happen.
God, no.
I guess, like I say, crowd reaction has changed the WWE's mind in the past. So the crowd reaction could hopefully get Braun Strowman to beat Brock Lesnar, which I think would do more for do more for the WWE going forward than anyone else. Because you're trying to build Braun Strowman over as this monster. So if he beats Brock Lesnar, that's monster status for life.
Yeah, and it was... here's the thing. Roman Reigns does not need to beat Brock Lesnar to help his career. In fact, it would probably hurt his career. That having been said, Braun Strowman beating Brock Lesnar, that's huge. That makes a big, big difference and is just... that's what needs to happen. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I love, just from keeping up with things, what little I have seen, thanks schedule, thanks life, I love that they are trying really hard to build up the the Intercontinental and the U.S. titles, making them really important. I think that's a really good idea. So I like that. I'm very pleased.
Yeah, it gives the secondary titles, it makes them more important, and it's funny that they were actually both featured on WrestleMania. They were actually in matches on WrestleMania, which hadn't happened in a long time. Maybe that was a sign that that's what they were going to do.
Yeah. So anything else real big happen?
Chorus, Apollo Crews got the win over Heath Slater with the Titus brand. It was kind of built up in the back how, you can see Titus trying to push Apollo Crews towards the heel roll. I'd like to see him once that happens. That was a very minor segment, but it was pretty cool. And then you had a moment where Cesaro and Sheamus officially came out and went heel. Officially. They cut the heel promo. Cesaro was wearing, Sheamus was wearing the sunglasses, saying he happy. Cesaro came out with him. Then the Hardy Boys came out, and they basically talked about getting beat up. I would have liked them to sell the injury more from the night before and not be on the show, because they did get pretty much obliterated. So I would have liked them to sell that injury a little bit more, but I've always been that way. I'm just like, they did some pretty sick spots. So you know what? Hey, not have the Hardys on the show, but they came out and they were they went to the ring to beat them up, and of course in a very heel move, Cesaro and Sheamus roll out the ring and walk away. It was kind of cool on that one, but to see Cesaro in full heel way is pretty cool. And it's funny because he was still getting cheered. Feel sorry.
Well, I think what's going to happen, it's a nice change of pace for his character. And people want to like him because he gets in the ring and he does these things that very few other people can do. And in the long run, what's going to happen is they're going to be a heel team for a while. They're going to run roughshod over people. They'll probably get the belt at some point. They better. And be these real badass heels. And then eventually the crowd is going to cheer them so much that they have to turn they have to turn babyface.
Well, it's one of those things. Sheamus's career has been rejuvenated by this tag team. So
yes, Sheamus needs to be thanking Cesaro, and he needs to be thanking Mick Foley or whoever's decision it was to put them together. Because otherwise he was done. It was game over, tapping out, get a day job.
Yeah, they took a horrible angle as in this best of 7 match that nobody was interested in, and they turned it into something. I am a person that I try not to be the knee-jerk reaction guy, even though I am sometimes. I am a big, hey, just wait and let's see where this goes type thing. On that one, I was the knee-jerk reaction. I'm like, no one wanted to see 1 match with these guys. Who wants to see 7 matches with these guys? And we struggled through it, and it has blossomed into this. So that's another good win for them. Bray Wyatt confronted Kurt Angle. Basically, he did the I want competition type thing. I want the shot, and he was going to make an impact in the match, and so later on that night. So we're going to go into the main event. So we get The Miz, Seth Rollins, and Finn Balor. If you have not watched this match, you need to watch this match. It's how to do a triple threat match. I mean, that's what it is. Talked to Rusty yesterday, a hypercritical wrestling fan. He says it was a little hunky at the beginning because, of course, it has, got to start with something bad. But then it was an amazing match by the end. The end had the lights go out and Bray Wyatt come in and give the Sister Abigail to good old Finn Balor, and he stares at The Miz and leaves as The Miz comes in and gets the pinfall. So The Miz beats Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, become the number 1 contender to the Intercontinental Championship because he is the person that makes that belt relevant. I do like the belt on The Miz. I want him to. I know it's not going to happen because it's the main title and pretty much the only title of significance on the Raw right now, as far as singles belt. So that being said, I would love to have a long title run, but that's not going to happen until the Universal belt gets back in regular rotation, which I keep hearing it. The rumor is it won't be back in regular rotation until after WrestleMania next year. So,
oh God, they're gonna actually.
Yeah, Brock's gonna. From what I understand, Brock's gonna keep the belt until to WrestleMania next year. I don't like the idea. I like someone else to get the win, but that makes no sense. And actually, let me say this: I wasn't gonna bring this up then. But if you have the message I sent you, this is actually a perfect time to discuss, since the belt is on Brock right now. It's a perfect time to discuss the message that I sent to you.
So I'll just read this off. This is some analysis that Wade Keller did. Wade Keller said okay, so I'm just reading this. Where did you get this screenshot from, by the way?
Actually, Noel sent it to me.
Noel sent it to you? Okay.
Noel, he said it was kind of a opposite argument to my argument that WrestleMania sells itself. But I honestly, what my argument was, I think this actually drives home. So go for it, Dave.
All right, so Keller's analysis. Part of this is seasonal. After higher interest in WrestleMania season, which was extended due to curiosity over the Superstar shakeup. Another part of this might be that WWE spends the first 3 or 4 months of the year pushing wrestlers for big matches at WrestleMania that suddenly disappear afterwards. So it's more difficult to sell viewers on these wrestlers being the big stars when they either were in undercard or kickoff show matches, or they're new to the roster and haven't built up a following yet. The WrestleMania season peak might be as high without the novelty of returning legacy stars for a short time, but the price they pay could last the next 8 months as WWE tries to build their weekly shows around wrestlers who fans are conditioned to believe aren't really a big enough deal to headline the biggest show of the year. So just for context, it looks like what basically Keller is saying is that you have guys like Jinder Mahal who have been, and this will also be a good segue into SmackDown, who have been essentially jobbers for all intents and purposes, and they have
talking about people like Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin too.
Yes, so anyone who is not in that upper echelon or gets pushed down because of part-time folks coming in who come in for the novelty of WrestleMania, then trying to turn around and sell the audience on, no, these guys are actually main eventers. Come on, you just need to forget that they were on the kickoff show, a month ago. That it is hurting in the long run the product, and I kind of think he's right. I think they're separate things. I think that WrestleMania will always sell itself, but this is, by the way they do things at WrestleMania and then following it right up with these things that are just way out of left field. It makes it hard for fans to buy in. Granted, I actually am kind of enjoying this whole new batch of people getting shots, and I look at these first couple of months after Mania as the rebuild time. So you have to, this is when you're building new stars or building potential new people. Sadly though, from all rumors and reports, the building of Jinder Mahal is going to be very short-lived, which is just ridiculous. This guy's got potential. He's got intensity. He's working harder in his training than just about anyone. And it's it's definitely something that WWE does that they need to stop doing.
I have some points on this. Big one being for you all non-traditional sports fans, unfortunately, wrestling does compete with traditional sports. So, that being said, right after WrestleMania, you roll into NHL and NBA playoff season. Well, NHL and NBA playoff seasons have series of 7 games. What that means is basically the playoffs last 2 months. So, right after WrestleMania season, pretty much every Monday night and Tuesday night, you're competing with a full slate of NHL games and a full slate of NBA games. Even if you notice from the club, if you notice in our Raw and SmackDown live talking sessions, you will see a couple of our fans say this: I'm not going to watch the show until later because I'm going to watch live sports and then I'll come back and watch Raw or SmackDown. Well, if you think about this on a non-hardcore fan level, a person that's not going to come back and watch either of the show, they're just going to watch Raw. They're just going to watch the NBA game, the NHL game. They might be at the NBA, NHL game. They may watch the Raw or SmackDown later that week. They may or may not. But as far as when ratings come out, ratings do not include DVR. So it's just who was watching the show live that happens to have a Nielsen's ratings box. So it's one of those situations where I don't think they're actually getting to how many people actually watch the shows. Also, YouTube videos, which Raw is basically, if anybody follows the product, Raw is basically broke down into YouTube segments, the whole show. So a lot of people watch the show that way. So it's more of a antiquated way of telling who's actually viewing the show.
Yeah, and it's funny because as savvy as WWE is about keeping up with social media and YouTube, they should realize that, okay, there are a lot more people watching this than just their Nielsen ratings. That having been said, they really need to keep USA and
Yeah.
Universal, NBC Universal happy, because
And I don't think that, I mean, as far as they're still the highest rated cable shows on those nights other than the sporting events. And USA knows they're not going to compete with the sporting events because live sports gets credit for people that will just turn on the game and not watch it. That's a big part of basketball. I mean, a lot of times I'll have a basketball game on while I'm doing research for the show. I'll have a basketball or hockey game on while I'm reading a book. They'll be on. So if they're counting boxes or whatever, you're going to get credit for that. But that's just going into the rating side of it. But the wrestling side of it, I feel like this drives home my point even more. That you have WrestleMania. It's your big budget time of the year. It's great. You can bring in some novelty acts, or as far as big names for the mid-card shows, mid-card part, but your main event should be the people they've been watching all year. It should be the culmination of a year-long storyline. It should be whoever your hottest acts are, your best wrestlers are. I mean, you can find a happy medium between Wrestle Kingdom and WrestleMania, and I just think that WrestleMania should find that.
Agreed, wholeheartedly. There's nothing wrong with having a Brock Lesnar Goldberg match at WrestleMania. It just should not be the main event. It should be the attraction match, and the match that is the main event should be your two biggest guys right at that moment, or the Undertaker retiring, and I can forgive that. I think we can all forgive, especially once we saw it go down and saw the after part. I think everyone's like, okay, it stinks that it was Roman Reigns, but that really needed to be last.
Yeah.
So you bring in your couple of people that never, that show up once a year. If The Rock comes in for a match, then he is not the main event. You have him doing something else.
Yeah, and AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and Chris Jericho being over and done with in the first hour of WrestleMania was a joke.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's just like they were your workhorses all year. Chris Jericho's storyline, if that ended at WrestleMania, not necessarily in the main event, let's say it's the end of hour 3, Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho, Universal title, their whole storyline of being best friends or, thinking they're best friends, and it comes into a WrestleMania. Kevin Owens is the Universal Champion. Chris Jericho has helped him keep the title so many times. Chris Jericho, at the end of his hottest run, you reward him with the Universal title. Of course, Kevin Owens gets it back in a little while, or you could even give it to someone else if you're desperate for the Universal title to go on Raw, as Kevin Owens goes to SmackDown. But that moment with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, the storytelling of that match would have been amazing. So that would have been a perfect moment. And then for the WWE title, you have AJ Styles. You know what's crappy? Who's the WWE champion at WrestleMania? Randy Orton.
Randy Orton.
You have AJ Styles. Maybe AJ Styles, Randy Orton, and Bray Wyatt in a triple threat match or something like that. These people that have been selling your show all year, they should sell WrestleMania. They should be on WrestleMania because people are going to go WrestleMania even if they don't know what it is, because it happens to be WrestleMania. A la the person that said his favorite part of WrestleMania was Pitbull.
Well, and by doing that, you make your actual full-time performers more important. And people, when they see them on TV, when they're flipping around, and you see, oh, hey, here's that guy I saw on WrestleMania, which I watch once a year. Maybe I'll go ahead and watch that now.
Yeah, and to a casual fan, it doesn't matter when Goldberg and Brock Lesnar are wrestling. If you are literally tuning in, get a network subscription to watch Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar? Do you care if they go on last, or if you care on they go on first? No, because you're not that invested in the product. This is you getting to know some of the product that you might not have had all year. So if that's the case, wouldn't you put on your best product? Because if I'm a person that's watching wrestling for the first time, and I'm like, who's this Roman Reigns guy? Man, Roman Reigns comes out, he's this badass. But his reaction from your hardcore fans that are WrestleMania, you think he's a bad guy. Then he wrestles against The Undertaker, and he kind of takes on a heel role. You know, all the things he's doing. And then at the end of the match, he finally wins, and he's getting booed. And everybody's like, why does everybody hate this guy? And your only impression of this guy that's only watched wrestling 1 year is that Roman Reigns is an ass. I'm not gonna go buy a shirt. He just beat up the old guy for no reason other than to prove that that's his.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It didn't come off like they wanted it to, which is the Western, the young gun. He's been the WWE champion 3 times. He's been the main event of WrestleMania. This is his 3rd year in a row. He's not the young gun. He's the face of the company beating up an old guy.
Yeah, that did not.
If you go young gun, Baron Corbin, someone who hasn't main evented a WrestleMania yet. Someone that isn't known. That's what a young gun is. Not this guy that has been the WWE champion 3 times and his main event at the last 2. It's just basically beating up The Undertaker.
Yep, exactly.
Exactly. Like, hey, young guy just decided to beat up this old guy. So to me, if you're going to do that, you got to continue with him being a heel. Or during the match, can he show some remorse for beating the crap out the old man?
Yeah, and that final thing at the very end where he's standing there, he's like, "Oh man, shucks, I just beat up the Undertaker." Yeah, I don't know why I did the voice like that, but that just didn't work because he came out all, "I'm gonna Superman punch the canvas, and look how bad I'm gonna beat up this old man." And then by the end, he's like, "Oh damn." And it's like, no, son, just stop. And he does, because he does not emote well. He doesn't, not to go off on a Roman Reigns tangent, but poor Roman Reigns comes off really, really good as a dick. And they just need to leave it at that. Let him just be a dick.
And that, like I said, it goes into, that's why I wanted to, like I said, focus on if you're a new fan and you really never heard of Roman Reigns.
Exactly.
He comes off as a dick. And no, I'm not buying your shirt.
Yet.
Or I don't want my kids looking up to you. You beat up old people.
Yet that shirt is selling. Again, though, I mean, when you have 80 shirts and everyone else has 2 or 1.
I mean, but, you know, look at him. Come on. Everything about him says badass.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, everything about him. I mean, he is genetically blessed. I mean,
he is until that Samoan Anna O'Hire, however you pronounce her name, gene that kicks in that make them get chubbier as they get older. Because if you've noticed, one of the Usos is getting a little bigger.
Yeah.
And you know, Roman's like, please God, please don't let me get fat. The rest of my family gets fat, please. I got one ticket, man.
Well, I mean, he does have. He does have. It's what you're putting in your body, of course. Look at The Rock.
True.
I mean, but his dad was a bodybuilder, so that's a big difference there.
That is true. Slightly. He's got the those extra genes.
Yeah. So it's when he, like I said, comes to Roman, I am one of those people. Roman being successful is good for me because I love wrestling. So when people go over, even John Cena, that makes wrestling more the mainstream and it keeps it going. Like I said, I just think that compelling storylines every week, you know, if you just focus on telling the best story every week, that once you get these casual fans to say, hey, look at me, and they'll realize why they should stay. So I don't think the whole Roman Reigns, your top guy, beating up the Undertaker, this guy that honestly could barely move, is gonna. I guess everyone might be, they might have romanticized the Undertaker as this super badass, but he hasn't been that in a lot of years. Him wrestling Shawn and him wrestling Triple H, that worked because they were considered older guys too. He's still the best of the old guys. But once he started beating younger guys again, like even him and Shane McMahon worked. Yeah, he can beat up Shane McMahon. But when you take this guy that's been wrestling for damn near 30 years and you put him in a ring with Roman Reigns, unless you were turning Roman heel, that was a no-win situation.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, no. But yeah, well, that since there's some mention of the Jinder Mahal, let's talk about SmackDown. What all happened on SmackDown this week?
All right. Basically, United States picture heated up. Jericho's out. He's kind of doing the celebration type thing, and then Kevin Owens comes out. Says he's taking the belt. I believe that's how it worked out. And then AJ Styles came out. He's the face that runs the place. They did that whole thing, and that's how the show started. Sometimes, SmackDown is the wrestling show, so I really wish it would start off with wrestling every week. Now, if you wanted to do that segment after wrestling, that's great, but I think SmackDown being the wrestling show should start with wrestling.
I would like shows to start more often with an actual match. NXT starts most weeks with a match, and it works really well. So, why not have the fireworks? Tom Phillips, welcome to SmackDown from wherever the fuck we are, and then ding ding ding, the following contest is scheduled for one fall. And go from there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But getting into matches, we had the Mahatra Jinder Mahal facing off against Sami Zayn. Of course, the Singh brothers get involved, and Jinder Mahal wins with his $1 million Dream Slam. Sami Zayn did a very good job of selling the move. He got some extra height on it. It looked actually really good when they did it. And so if they can stick with that, I don't know. There's been an uproar about Jinder Mahal winning, that possibly being the champion. I could dig it if he's the champion. I can accept it if he's not. I just think he should stay with the Singh brothers. He should stay at the top of the card.
Yeah, I don't want this to just end with boom RKO over. He's just now back to the bottom of the barrel.
I can imagine Randy saying, "I'm not putting over Jinder Mahal."
Oh yeah,
I can imagine him saying, "No, there's no way you're going to have it. If you want to give the belt to someone else and then they put over Jinder Mahal, that's fine. But I'm not. Randy Orton's not putting over Jinder Mahal. As nice a guy as Randy Orton has become, I don't think he's going to put over Jinder Mahal.
Unless they just say, "Hey, here's a nice fat check." And
Randy Orton has come through as one of those people that it's not all about the money.
True.
It's like he's very much about his image, his character, his legacy. I'm not losing Jinder Mahal.
But I tell you, you talk about making somebody. If this is a match, and especially if Jinder somehow won clean, you talk about making a new star.
No, and I disagree. You can't win clean.
Well, okay. You have to have the Singh brothers involved.
Yeah, you have to have the Singh brothers involved. It's very much helping their career. They're getting on TV. They help Jinder Mahal. Relations with, WWE's trying to move into India. This is all perfect. I don't think it has to. It's one of those rare times I'll say, I don't think it has to win with the world title. But as you say, he should push him to the very, very end. I'm talking about Randy hits the RKO, but it's closer to the ring, and then the Singh brothers puts his foot on the rope, and then he hits his finisher. Randy kicks out, maybe he hits it again and somehow Randy rolls out of the ring. For every second of that 20, 25 minutes, you sell me on the fact that Jinder Mahal is a legit contender and is about to win the title, and Randy Orton then wins. But, I wouldn't call it barely, but he hits the RKO out of nowhere, and, maybe he doesn't just jump up and do the pose. Maybe he rolls out of the ring and not necessarily gets carried away, but, he sells the fact that was one of the toughest matches of his life. Then you have him on SmackDown the next one and say, he really put me through it, that kind of thing, and put him over like they used to do, honestly, in the 80s. Because the titles didn't change hands, but people still got elevated, and they got elevated by tough matches.
Agreed. Yeah, that is... that's the way it needs to be. Jinder needs to barely, just taking Randy to the brink. Randy needs to barely win, and he kind of stumble out of the ring, clutching onto the belt or something.
Yeah, barely kept this.
Yeah.
And, the Singh brothers both catch RKOs, and, he even gets desperate enough to try to bring out the kick. It has to be on the level of Randy Orton. It actually makes Randy Orton look great as this fighting champion, and it gets Mahal over. And maybe if Kevin Owens, you get rid of the United States belt and Kevin Owens goes up to the main event. The best person for Jinder Mahal to feud with, if he really wants to make himself a star, is AJ Styles, because that's what AJ Styles does. But right now with Randy Orton, if Randy cares, as a lot of people say, is that it is the quotation on everything, he could really put Jinder Mahal over.
Yeah, he really
put him over without losing to him.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
But
so what else happened?
Perfect 10 Ty Dillinger comes out. Aiden English is in the ring. He is the drama king now, and he was singing. And I don't know how it led to it, but it led to 10. And then Ty Dillinger comes out, and they have a good, decent match. Ty Dillinger debuts his new finisher. It is it's pretty much the tiebreaker, but he does it almost from a fireman's carry, and then he does it with a spin. So it's the tiebreaker with a twist when his head lands on the knee, just like it did before. And then he pins it, and that's what they're calling the tiebreaker now. And, of course, him and AJ Styles had the exact same move, so one of them was going to have to change.
Yeah, and, that's actually Adam Cole uses that move as well. He has two variations of it. It's called the last chapter, I think.
Yeah, but he does it from the brainbuster onto the knee, right?
He does both, brainbuster onto knee and from the fireman's carry.
Oh, okay. I would say if he sticks with the brainbuster onto the knee, he'll be perfectly fine. It looks different enough. But, him, Ty, and AJ were doing the exact same move. Yeah. So, and AJ was using it as a setup move. And so, I don't know. It's always crazy to me. It was kind of like if Asuka comes to the main roster and then Naomi has to stop using her rear view. It would be crazy to me because, Ty's been there longer than AJ. And I figured them both using it, most people wouldn't have cared. But I like that he put a twist on it. I hope it was his idea and not management's.
Agreed.
Carmella and Natalia fought Naomi and Charlotte Flair. Of course, the welcoming committee came out. What was it? Natalia ended up getting the victory over Naomi, the champ, after some cheat. And at the end of the match, before then, the welcoming committee told Becky Lynch basically she had to choose. So they had been jumping.
I'm sorry. I'm sneeze fest over here. Continue. Thank you.
I didn't know that's what you were doing.
Yeah, no, sorry. My bad. So, Natalia?
And Natalia and Carmella told Becky she had to choose. So she gets in the ring. Carmella, Charlotte, and Naomi are down. She shakes Natalie's hand. She shakes Tamina's hand. She shakes Carmella's hand, and then she gets to James Ellsworth, and he didn't want to shake hands. He wanted a hug, he wanted to shake hands. She was like, "No, I want a hug." And when he went in for the hug, Bex Flex City, and then she turned, and then she got beat up anyway, because
Well, yeah, I mean, it's many on one, so that makes sense.
The welcoming committee. Still, I find, as in, like, the worst faction name ever. So they need to fix that. I think it goes down in the level of the Oddities and the Job Squad. It's pretty horrible names. Dolph Ziggler beat Sin Cara, and it was about Dolph Ziggler hating Shinsuke Nakamura. And he beat Sin Cara with little sweet chin music. And I don't even know what they're calling it. I guess they're just calling it a super kick. He knocks him out. And then
he has a great super kick, by the way.
Huh?
Ziggler has a great super kick. He really does. And real quick, can we just talk about how the marketing of the upcoming Backlash pay-per-view is completely centered around Shinsuke Nakamura?
Yeah.
The man has been on the main roster for what, a month maybe, and they already are seeing dollar signs. You know, Vince McMahon's probably like at first, "I don't get it, you don't speak English," and then seeing people's reactions, shirts selling like crazy. "I don't care, he's making me money." Terrible Vince impression, sorry.
They are doing a good job of making him an attraction. He hasn't even wrestled yet. So I imagine I don't know. He's been doing the main event of every dark match, and he's been working with Ziggler. And then he tagged with AJ 1 week. So it looks like his debut match is going to be at Backlash in Chicago. And it'd be kind of cool if they do the whole live violin or whatever they're going to do, the big entrance for him. And of course he's going to destroy Dolph Ziggler because Dolph Ziggler sells. That's what Dolph Ziggler does. He makes people look good.
I really hope Nakamura really kicks it up a notch in that match and doesn't just be phone it in Nakamura. He needs to put in the kind of performance he put in when he debuted against Sami Zayn. He just needs to kill it. But yeah, it'll be cool, and that's the rumor I saw in Cage Side Seats is that they're going to keep him off of. He's not going to wrestle a match until Backlash, on TV at least.
And that makes a lot of sense because he is an attraction wrestler. I can honestly say he didn't wrestle every week on NXT, and it worked because it was a big deal when he wrestled. That entrance is great, but if it happened every week, yeah, it could wear on you.
Exactly.
Because it is like a 5-minute entrance.
Exactly. So, anything else happen real?
Of course, it's the end of the run of Jericho. Hope you enjoyed it, man. Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for the United States Championship. They put on a great match, but of course, in the end, Kevin Owens catches him on the apron with the powerbomb, and then gets him inside, and then does the pop-up powerbomb, wins the belt. I believe he does another pop-up powerbomb. And then when he gets him on the outside of the ring, he wraps a chair around his head and then throws him into the post. So it looks like they were writing it out as Kevin Owens broke Jericho's neck.
Nice. Apparently the powerbomb onto the floor was an homage to the Ricky Steamboat, Jake the Snake feud where Jake DDT'd Steamboat on the floor as a way to write Steamboat off TV for a while. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of cool when you do get fans of 80s wrestling, and Kevin Owens, he's a little younger. So, fans of 80s wrestling, 90s wrestling, they always trying to do homages to that era of wrestling. So that being the case, that was a great moment. You can see, you knew Jericho was getting written off. Kevin Owens being the champion of the United States, the United States champion people's needs. He's basically, a Donald Trump type character. I could see him going even further with it. So I do like it. I love it. It makes the United States champion matter, and most importantly, whatever belt Kevin Owens has matters. And I wonder how Randy Orton feels about that. They make him the WWE Championship. They gave him the WWE Championship, but they kind of made it an undercard title. I mean, the number one contender for the WWE Championship is fighting in the first match on the show. The number one contender, but the United States Championship is the main event. But I guess it's better than being the tag team champions, which wasn't on the show at all. They did that was pretty cool. They did a CSI ripoff, but they did it with the Fashion Police.
Oh, nice.
No, it was the Law and Order ripoff with the Fashion Police. And Law and Order the Fashion Police are going to Chicago. It was kind of awesome how they did it. They had the whole segment with it was at a police station, talking about kind of police station setup, talking about giving tickets and how it's going to end that backlash. It's a Jinder Mahal type thing. This is all building to the New Day coming back. This is all buying time for the New Day to come back and feud with the Usos.
Yeah, I
would love Tyler Breeze and Fandango to go over. Even though as much as I love the Usos, I just think they, for some reason, were relegated to wrestling purgatory for being too entertaining, I guess. Because every time Tyler Breeze and Fandango are on TV, they entertain the hell out of everybody. But I guess Backlash is hey, we're trying to make new stars pay-per-view because,
Which is comical because Tyler Breeze is a new star, and Fandango is a guy who, even though he had 15 seconds of being over, never really got a real shot. So building these two up, because they're challenging at Backlash, right, for the tag. So that needs to be a match where they, again, like you mentioned with the WWE title situation, the Usos need to win, but just barely. It needs to be something where they even need to hit their big move, and Tyler Breeze or Fandango needs to kick out, and we need a Tyler Breeze freak out at some point in this match, because no one does the freaking out that better than Tyler Breeze. I mean, Rusev has a great freak out face. There are a few other people that really do the hissy fit well, but no one does it like Tyler Breeze does it. When he loses his shit, it is some of the most hysterical stuff to watch. So I really hope for one of those moments. And really, it should be a good match, because we know all four of those guys can go. Three of the four of them we know can really go, and Fandango can hold his own. So that has potential. So Backlash is, when is that? It's not next weekend, is it?
Oh, it's 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now, okay.
Because they're doing a big Chicago weekend where it's going to be an NXT show, Backlash, Raw, and SmackDown.
Okay, yeah. So it's going to be CM Punk chants abound.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to definitely get some CM Punk chants. Like I said, I hope, I would love, since it's the pay-per-view, it was the WrestleMania that he missed, that somehow the WWE and CM Punk get something worked out before next WrestleMania. But I don't even think they're talking right now. So it would have to, it'd have to escalate from not even talking to, hey, come be our main event. So I think a lot of injuries would have to happen for the WWE to get that desperate.
Yeah, and I mean, technically, Punk's still under contract with UFC. I'm sure UFC would have no qualms letting him go. And it's I don't think enough time has passed yet for those wounds on Punk's end of things for him to be able to go, okay, let's try this again.
He's in the best shape of his life, but he's a person that really doesn't care about money. He wants to get paid money because he thinks he's worth it, not because he's like, oh, I want to go buy these expensive things. He actually lives a fairly, down life. You know what I'm saying? From what, if you follow on social media, they don't like go buy Lamborghinis and things like that.
No, it's that punk rock thing.
It's a respect thing.
Yeah.
It's more of, okay, you want to pay Brock Lesnar $1 million. I deserve that too because I draw like Brock Lesnar does. It's more of, this is what I deserve, not this is what like I need this money so I can go spend it. This is what I deserve.
Yep.
So,
yeah. So anything else on the two main roster shows before we move on?
No, that's it. Just a quick recap of 205 Live because there's only ever 3 matches. Honestly, the big thing that happened in this show, Noam Dar and Alicia Fox are back together.
And people care why.
Honestly, it was the most compelling thing on the show for a while. TJP beats Lince Dorado by submission. TJP, they're really trying to get him back in the good as a heel. They're really giving him the wins now. Drew Gulak beats Mustafa Ali. I honestly don't even remember how that went down. I think he was going for a finisher off the top ropes and like fell. Drew Gulak knocked him down and then pinned him. That's how it worked. It wasn't even submission or anything like that. And then Noam Dar defeats Rich Swann, and then he gets Alicia Fox back, who kind of reluctantly goes back to him. She actually, at the end of the part, it was kind of funny because the very end of the scene or the picture, if you see it on 205 Live, I don't know how you're going to do the picture for this week, but I think that should be on there because it's basically Noam Dar jumping into Alicia Fox's arms.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to find that right now.
So it's very hilarious. Actually, I will send you the link right now.
Yes, if you have that picture of that, please send that to me. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So it was kind of cool. WWE's kind of weird about you saying images on their screen, which is hilarious. But yeah, that was 205 Live. Yeah, it's like Superstars now. I think I might even stop recapping it unless something actually interesting happens.
That's probably not a bad idea.
I mean, it's just, nothing happens. It's not even like, oh, okay. It's not even like, oh, man, you need to know this, otherwise you can't keep up with the rest of the product. No. It's has very little to do with the rest of the product. I think, and I have come up with this. Maybe the next challenger for one of the belts, as far as if you decide to keep the belt on Neville, the next challenger should be the next challenger for the United States belt should be Neville. It was just a thought I had. They really need to push the cruiserweight belt as just not being a cruiserweight belt. If you get what I'm saying there.
Yes.
So just like not being some kind of low belt that we just gave the little people, have Neville compete with someone of a larger size, or TJP, or even one of the faces. But it has to be something different now because it's horrible.
Yeah, 205 Live is really turned into like main event and Superstars, and it's just sad.
And like I said, I honestly think it's just like, if you're not a hardcore fan, I am very clear on this. If you're a hardcore fan, of course we care about it. But if you're not a hardcore fan, no one cares about it. That's what it gets down to.
Yeah,
you're
pretty much.
Fan, you like us. Hey, yeah, this is the greatest thing ever. You're not a hardcore fan? Who? Know him who? Alicia, you mean the girl wrestler? Yeah, that's pretty much your reaction to it. And since you watched the show this week, I'm going to let you take the lead on NXT and the recap, sir.
All right, so crap. Because I watched it, but I didn't actually write anything down. It was an entertaining show. I mean, it was the main event was a battle royal for number one contender for the women's championship. Heavy Machinery was on. They were entertaining. They're good. I'm starting to get to the point where I find them entertaining.
Their finisher is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it is freaking hilarious. I mean, one guy pulls up a guy in a power slam, and then he comes and jumps on his back, and they just both fall on the guy. So it's really like a fat guy finisher.
It really is, because they're fat guys. And
that's the whole thing. It's like the Tucker guy, Tucker Knight, and the Doze guy. He can squat like 700 pounds.
Is he the one whose arms are always like? I mean, he looks like he can't bring his arms all the way down to his sides.
Yes.
Okay.
Tucker Dozick, and what is it? Dozick? I can't even remember his name. I just know him as Heavy Machinery right now. But Dozick is like a weightlifting guy. I mean, and if most people know this, there are bodybuilders, right? And there are powerlifters. Powerlifters tend to look like Braun Strowman and this Dozick guy. Then you have people that look like Jinder Mahal, Roman Reigns, and Finn Balor. Those are more of the bodybuilder types. Generally, this is a very low fitness level talk. This is a fat guy talking. But generally, when you get to the power lifters, the people that can actually lift a lot of weight, they have to have this base to be very, very, big. So that is the Dozicks and the Braun Strowmans. They have to have the base to carry, even Mark Henry, to carry the weight. Then you have people that are bodybuilding. They might not necessarily be able to lift a lot of weights, but they look amazing. Those fall into the lines of, it's funny to say this, the body guys. Jinder Mahal, you'll see Tony Nese, his abs, and Finn Balor. But yes, to be actual strong, you generally have to carry a lot of weight.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Because if you watch any of the strongman competitions, they don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. They look like fat guys with huge arms.
Yeah. So we had that match. We started with Killian Dane, Insanity, and it was kind of cool to see him in cool to see him in singles action, because if you know him as Big Damo, he can work, and he's fighting with Danny Burch, of course, from London. So it was a UK match without saying it was a UK match. And Killian Dane goes over. Very entertaining. I like Eric Young in the manager role, and I could see him staying on NXT, and then the people Insanity changing as they get ready for the main roster.
Yeah, you could. I like that idea. You could almost even do something where he and maybe he and Bray Wyatt kind of form a partnership where he gets guys ready and then they go up and become part of the Wyatt family. Because I could totally see Killian Dane being a member of the Wyatt family.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a monster right now. So I don't know what they're going to do with that on Raw. I think Bray works when he has other people. But, if they're just going to push him as by himself heel, I think that can work too.
Yeah, his thing though is he still looks way too much like a Hanson. He's trying to be in War Machine, and if they ever sign War Machine, then somebody is going to have to drastically change their look, and I suspect it's going to be Killian Dane. Because if you bring in War Machine, they're going to partner the guys together. I don't know. But yeah, he has there ever been talks about bringing in War Machine? They just don't seem like WWE guys. Yeah, I don't know if they would work. I mean, I see them. They are New Japan. They look like they're the kind of guys who could have very long, very successful careers in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that's where I think they need to go and stay. And let, Killian Dane be WWE's War Machine. That's fine. But yeah, I liked it. I'm still not quite sure about him using the One-Winged Angel, and that's probably just because I really, really like Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
But as long as they keep that move super strong, and that hardly anyone ever kicks out of it, kind of thing, because it's a brutal looking move.
It's a brutal move, but it's a big man move. Kenny Omega has always looked weird doing it to me. Because he's kind of not small, but he's a slight guy. And he does it, Killian Dane could pretty much do that to anybody on the roster. There would be definitely a limit of people that Kenny Omega could do that to.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, in New Japan, you tend to fight, the people he fights tend to be smaller. But I don't know if he could pull that off against someone that's like Randy Orton or even Jack Swagger. Let me say that. I mean, they're like 6'7", 6'8". I don't think he could actually pull that move off.
I think he could pull it. I think he could definitely pull it off on Orton, on Randy Orton. Jack Swagger, I'm not sure. Randy Orton for sure.
Yeah, those are pretty big dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the Battle Royal. Specifically about the end of the Battle Royal.
And I loved it.
Here's the thing I have with the end of the Battle Royal is Battle Royals by default are no disqualification. That match shouldn't have just ended. Yeah, sure. Asuka coming in. So for those of you who didn't see it, you ended up coming down to the final three were Ruby Riott, Nikki Cross, and was it Ember Moon?
Ember Moon.
Was there one other person still in there?
Nope.
Okay. So those were the three, and every other woman on the roster pretty much was involved in this. Even people we haven't seen, people who are still in the Performance Center. I think Mandy was the only person not really involved.
We got 2 name changes.
Okay, who all got new names?
Macy Estrella and Daria Baronato both changed their names because Daria Baronato, that was her real name. So she is now going by Sonya Deville.
That's why her Twitter said that. Okay.
And then Macy Estrella is now going by Lacey Evans.
Is she the really tall one who looks kind of like what's her name from Rocky IV?
She has that old school look. She wears the high shorts.
Okay, yeah, the one that the first time she was ever out, freaking oh God, what's his name? The guy, former Ring of Honor champion, who's the announcer, Nigel McGuinness was just going nuts for. Yeah, she apparently does it for him. They got new names, and I still like Daria or Sonya. I think she has a ton of potential.
Yeah,
once she's not green.
Yeah, it's going to take me a while to get used to the new name because she wrestled a few times as Daria Baronato. I mean, you feel like they would have addressed changing her name. So at some point, because it is not like she only wrestled once as it, like the Macy Estrella, she was only on some NXT like one time as Macy. So her switching to Lacey Evans, I really don't have a problem with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she was only there once.
But Daria Baronato was actually in a match where she was wrestled with Iconic, and they were putting her over as this badass, and then you change her name.
Yeah, that's weird. So speaking of Iconic did they eliminated a lot of people. Aaliyah was in there, Liv Morgan. Pretty much, it was a who's who of NXT ladies. and Iconic just took a ton of people out. So it comes down to Nikki Cross, Ruby Riott, and Ember Moon. Ember Moon hit Ruby Riott with the O-Face or Eclipse, whatever they're calling it now. Then she Ember was going for it again when Asuka comes running out. And Asuka throws Ember Moon off the top rope. She gives a spin kick to Ruby Riott. She does something else to Nikki Cross and leaves them all laying. And then out of the middle of nowhere, the bell rings. And I'm like, wait a minute. This is a battle royal. How many Royal Rumble matches have we seen where people who are either not in the match or have already been eliminated get involved and it doesn't end the match? So that was my problem with it. By default it's a no DQ match. So she should have left everyone laying and stood there and said, "See, no one's ready for Asuka." Or even better, there should have been one other person still in the match, but maybe laid out on the outside of the ring, who does not get obliterated by Asuka, and that person gets in the ring and throws everyone else out.
Or she just threw everyone over the top rope, eliminated everybody, and of course the last person technically that she ends up eliminating because she threw her under the would have been Ember Moon, and it would have set up a rematch at the NXT Chicago. But I understand what they were trying to do. They didn't want to do Ember Moon versus Asuka again. So.
To me, it looked like my feeling coming out of this is they're going to do a fatal 4-way.
Oh yeah, he announced it right after the match.
Okay, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, Regal comes out and says, "I just got back talking to Asuka. Now she's gonna be Asuka versus those 3 women in the ring in a fatal 4-way match."
Hey, that's okay, and that's another perfect way to get belt off Asuka without pinning her. Though yeah, I think it would have been better.
And it's a way to introduce everybody to Ruby Riott.
Yeah, who was super over in this match.
Yeah, she is definitely over in the confines of Full Sail University.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's funny because you have to make that apparent. Because every 205 Live guy is over at Full Sail. But they're not necessarily over.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was a good NXT show. We also had Hideo Itami fighting Kona Reeves. I just thought that was... I think this is necessary because Kona Reeves wins. And it sets up next week Roderick Strong and Hideo Itami fighting for the number 1 contender to face Bobby Roode at Backlash Chicago. Also, they did part 2 of getting to know Roderick Strong, and it is really good. Yeah. I think on the network, if you wanted to go ahead and watch just those videos, they work. It let me know a lot of stuff about Roderick Strong. I knew he started wrestling really young, but I didn't know how young. And so his dad had a ring in the backyard, and he was like 13 years old taking bumps.
Yeah, that was I really, really love those. I went back and I watched the first one on YouTube and watched the second one. That was, to me, that was kind of the highlight. But that and the Battle Royal were the best things of this episode. And that's the thing. I hadn't thought about it, but Solomonster mentioned on his show when talking last week about the part 1 is, he asked the question of, okay, what does anyone really know about Roderick Strong? I mean, we've watched this guy for 13 years in Ring of Honor, but do we really know much at all about him? And it was a great look into his personality, and into everything. I loved it. I thought it was great. They do those things really, really well. So my hope is that they continue that. Now this him versus Hideo Itami in a number one contenders match. I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'm not spoiled. I don't know the outcome if it's already happened, but I don't know what direction to go in because, I mean, both of them it'd be a good time to pull the trigger on either one. Roderick is the new product. He's the hot new guy for a guy who's been wrestling since he was 13. But he's new to NXT, and he's really on the way to becoming, Mr. NXT. And I love that they made a direct reference to him being Mr. ROH. I thought that was fantastic. And then, but then you've got freaking Hideo, who's just always been just on that cusp, and he was going to be slated for the title. I think. In fact, he probably would have been the person to beat Kevin Owens at Beast in the East had he not gotten hurt. So it's I don't know. All I know is it's compelling. It makes me want to know, and part of it almost makes me wish for a triple threat match. But on the way, I don't foresee them taking the belt off of Bobby Roode just yet. So in a way, I'm like, man, I really want both of these guys to have this title shot, and then there's part of me, wait, they're not going to win. So I don't want either of them to win, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I am spoiled on it. So I'm just going to give the strengths of both. If you're going to do Roderick Strong, you just did these 2 video packages that are amazing. Amazing video packages. He just had a new kid. I mean, you could definitely put that into the show, write that into the show. On Roderick, if he loses, if you wanted to, you could then put him in some type of gimmick with Eric Young, because I think that would be on the level of the person. Or if they have some kind of younger guy that they want to push number one contender, that would work. With Itami, Itami should be honestly would be on the main roster if it wasn't for the injuries. Let's be real. He would already be on the main roster if it wasn't for the injuries. So, you know what? You don't know what kind of window you have with him. So, if you want to do that, you might want to go ahead and push him really quickly and get him into the title pictures quick. Because he's injury prone. You don't know how long you're going to get to keep Tommy. So, you can go either way and be happy. I hope that was. I didn't really lean to which one who won, right?
No. I mean, I think I've got an idea of which one it was, but
Yeah, but if you don't want to go with Tommy, again, I go to Eric Young. That would be a great person to go with, or because I think he should be the guy that you feud with before you get to the main event picture. I believe that.
Eric Young's an excellent gatekeeper.
Yeah.
Because he's got the pedigree. He's freaking Eric Young, for Pete's sake.
Drew Galloway would be the other guy you could feud with.
Yes, but I mean, Galloway, I think, is going to be the guy eventually to take the belt off Roode. So I think that's the way that's going to go down.
So before SummerSlam, because I'll be there.
Yes. Now you watched TNA this week.
Yes.
Excuse me, Impact.
Impact Wrestling. I can actually show if I was giving the greatest show a grade. I'm a little easier grader than Ryan, so I give it a C+. But a big old A goes to this match that everybody should go find if you have not watched it, because it's probably his best match in TNA. It was Alberto El Patron versus Eli Drake. I don't think of Eli Drake as a great worker. I think of him as a master of the mic, very entertaining guy. There was this spot where he was trying to do the springboard move, and I say this, in your lane, sir. You are not a cruiserweight. You are not AJ Styles. Stay in your lane. I don't care how many times you pulled it off in practice. When you tried to do it, in the match, it looked like hot garbage, but then you recovered. They put on a great match. Him and Eli and Alberto have great chemistry, and it ended, of course, with Alberto El Patron winning the match because, of course, they're pushing him as, I don't know, I guess he's a face. They're pushing him as a top guy, but Eli Drake put on like I said, best match I've seen him in Impact Wrestling. It was a match they needed because it was a match where it actually stuck out. It's like, okay, I'm playing it while I'm working, and then I'm seeing a spot, then I see another spot, and I'm like, why am I not watching this match? And I literally take the stream and take it back to the beginning of the match and watch it again from the beginning. Really good match. Starts off kind of clunky, which, starting a match is also always very weird. You can do the call and elbow tie-up, arm drag, arm bar type deal, or, you can go straight into the action. But starting a match is probably one of the harder things to do in wrestling. So the start of the match wasn't great, but the middle and end were downright well. If they wanted to do it this way, it really made Eli Drake look good in a loss. Very good. All right. But that was the highlight of Impact Wrestling. I could go segment by segment, but they did the race. You know what? I call it borderline racist LAX thing because it's about Mexican pride, but Conan's the Godfather. The other dudes are selling bootleg CDs and tapes. One's selling drugs, and one is a madam for prostitutes.
Jesus.
If you're actually listening to it, and it's very, very racist, but it's Mexican people doing it. So can it then still be racist?
It can have racist connotations, or it can be viewed as racist.
And Conan is very much, he writes it. He is very much not playing against stereotype. He was the Aztec warrior when he came into WCW, and then he played a cholo forever, Odele. So that being said, he's definitely not against those type of stereotypical characters. But it's just I like LAX. I like the tag team, but it's just the gimmick is it's cringeworthy. It's almost the beginning of New Day. Cringe.
Oh man, that's bad.
Yeah.
Well, I watched Ring of Honor, the episode that as of yesterday was the one that is up on their website, which is about a week late from what airs on television. It was a good episode. There was the highlights. The Young Bucks came out and essentially did my favorite gimmick. Said, we've beaten everyone there is to beat, so next week we're going to have an open challenge. The best part, though, is at one point they said, we're better than the Rock and Roll Express, we're better than this, we're better than that. But one of them said, well, but we sure hell can't mention the Revival or something like that, basically saying they're not better than the Revival. It was hilarious. The crowd popped huge for that. Whichever, I get the two guys mixed up. It's the one without the ginormous mutton chops said it.
Okay.
And it was hysterical. The Spirit Squad came out and immediately ate super kicks. So that was interesting. Adam Cole came out and was going to have an interview with the new head commentator guy, Ian, and he just goes, "Shut up, Ian," and takes the microphone, and Ian plays the golly gee shucks thing really well. And he and Colt Cabana, I think, are doing a really good job on commentary. They're making a new sound for Ring of Honor, so I think that's a good thing. And Adam Cole talked about his situation with Bullet Club, how that's all working out and whatnot. And I'm going to talk about Adam Cole, something else here in just a second. And then the main event was a fatal four-way, Jay Lethal, Jay White, Adam Hangman Page, and Silas Young. The winner will be added to the War of the Worlds main event, which will be Christopher Daniels, and Cody Rhodes, and now it will be a triple threat match for the World Championship. Jay Lethal ended up winning. Really good match, lots of fun. Everyone got in good spots. Everyone looked really good. Lethal won with a lethal injection out of the middle of nowhere on Silas Young, I want to say. It was a good match. And there was a nice little stare down afterwards. Cody came out wearing the Christopher Daniels Destiny T-shirt from the night he won the title. They had a special commemorative T-shirt made for that night, so he was wearing that. Christopher Daniels had been on commentary, so he gets up, stands on the commentary table holding the belt, and they're all pointing at each other. Very good fade to black moment. But Adam Cole. So there is a story on ESPN.com about Adam Cole, and it is a really, really story. And basically, it's talking about where he's going as he's going into free agency. Because as of pretty much right now, he is no longer under contract with Ring of Honor. And according to rumors that have been attributed to Dave Meltzer, the two groups that are most interested in him are WWE and New Japan Pro Wrestling. I heard him on a Sam Roberts interview once, how he said his real goal is to main event a Wrestle Kingdom and main event a WrestleMania, which Sam Roberts just kind of laughed off. Because, that's just the goal that everyone who puts on tights probably has. But I look at Adam Cole and I think, of anyone out there who could do it, other than AJ Styles. And AJ, I don't think actually ever main evented. He was in a premiere match at Wrestle Kingdom, but he did not main event Wrestle Kingdom. I could see Adam Cole possibly doing it. But this was a really interesting article. And there's a lot of questions, but also in another interview, Adam Cole specifically said that if he came to WWE, he would want to go through NXT first. And he said, first and foremost, I love the show. I'm a fan of the product. And he talked about the possible matches he would have there, and use that as a way to work himself up and to get more acclimated with not only the WWE style of things, but for the WWE audience to get to know him. And I thought that was really kind of a smart way of looking at it. I mean, the dude's 27, 28. He's young.
He started wrestling very, very young.
He did. He'd been in Ring of Honor. He'd been a Ring of Honor exclusive guy since 2010. What are your thoughts on the possible future of Adam Cole?
Adam Cole, baby! It was funny because I was watching one of the early episodes of Progress Wrestling. This is 2013, and they said he is the best independent wrestler in the world. So that was kind of funny that he was called that even then. So fast forward 4 years later, very close relationship with a lot of people in the WWE, including Kevin Owens. So my thought process is this: he's 210 pounds. WWE is going to a smaller wrestler right now, but I think he would still need to put him out 10 to 15 pounds of muscle on and tone up if he's going to make it on the main roster. I mean, NXT, his body works for NXT. And believe me, I'm going superficial. The dude's in-ring work there's no reason to have the discussion. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. I did want to make that very clear before going. But when you talk about the WWE, you are talking about the cosmetic side of professional wrestling. So I think to be bought as a legit main eventer, he would have to put on about 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. You're looking at the NXT Performance Center. I mean, the weight room and everything there. So, of course, just going there and, not having to work 300 days a year because you can actually just go in there and train and get better. I think that'll help him. That'll help him heal up probably some nagging injuries, and younger wrestlers will love working with him. But if he was going to pick, to me, at 27 years old, I go New Japan. Because at 27 years old, he's a main guy in New Japan. Like, from the beginning. They can do the split up of the Bullet Club with him and Adam Cole. They can, him and Kenny Omega. They can put on some really, really great matches. And you may be able to have an All-American Wrestle Kingdom main event. Like, I don't know if that would be the first time ever. But that would be awesome. But that's where I would go. But I welcome him to the WWE. I think the NXT is restacking their roster right now. Like, the main event picture, if you look at it, I mean, this is just looking at the names that they have. You got the champion Bobby Roode. You got Drew Galloway. You got Hideo Itami. You got Roderick Strong. You got Eric Young. Adding Adam Cole into that would just only add to it. And if you really wanted to, if he would, let's say he was going to spend more than like a few months there, you can give him kind of the Eric Young treatment, give him two guys, they can do something like the Kingdom, and he can use that to get them over and put them in the tag team picture.
I mean, hell, they really, if they wanted to, Michael Bennett's coming in, supposedly, so yeah. You could literally put the Kingdom back together, especially if they could pry Taven away from Ring of Honor. And
Bennett's supposedly going straight to the main roster, from what I understand.
Okay, so NXT could use the star power of Maria, and Bennett needs to be the WWE crowd needs to get to know Bennett, and having Bennett on NXT, having Full Sail flip their lid for him and Maria. And then using those clips, and as people watch takeovers, and they see, these audiences of hardcore fans losing their minds. So when he finally does show up on SmackDown, he's a big deal. Otherwise, he's going to show up at SmackDown right now, and people are going to be like, "Who?"
It won't matter because they'll know who Maria is. That's what I'm like. It's more like Maria is debuting on SmackDown with her new boy toy.
Yeah, that's true. I'm kind of with you. I think that with Adam Cole, so here's the thing. WWE is probably the last stop. At 27, are you really ready to make your last stop? You could do a 1 or 2 year run in New Japan, and if he goes to New Japan, it leaves him open to still work Ring of Honor. He can still work PWG, which he loves. So it would give him those opportunities. And, I mean, New Japan is the second largest organization for wrestling in the world. So if he goes there, and if he gets pushed, and I think they would push him to the moon, and gets an IWGP Heavyweight Championship out of it, and he could show up in NXT and say, I am the only person that is a 3-time Ring of Honor champion and a IWGP Heavyweight Champion, and that's a big deal. Now, if he goes to New Japan, especially if he becomes a super big star there, he could possibly put right on the main roster. But maybe not. I mean, I'd rather see him go through NXT. Either way, it's like, watch him have great matches in NXT, watch him have great matches in New Japan. Either way, I win. So, I mean, the fans are going to win no matter what, I think, the way it's going to turn out. The only thing I think you really have to be careful about is WWE is a spiteful bunch of bitches, and if he turns them down for New Japan, that could bite him in the butt. So he has to be careful.
I don't know, and that's the whole thing with Kevin Owens being there and all that and battling for, and they understand the business side of wrestling. He's gonna make more money in Japan right now, because when you come into WWE, you usually start at either NXT rate, and if you have a really big name, they start you at a little more than that. Even Samoa Joe said he took a pay cut to come to the WWE.
Yeah, but it worked out for him.
I mean, and that's what I'm like. I mean, with the talent that Adam Cole has, it's going to work out for him, and he lives in Florida, so
yeah,
It's less of a travel. I mean, especially if you go NXT, the initial time you travel less.
Yeah.
You only travel 3 days a week, and a lot of times you're staying in Florida. So, I mean, as far as his body, it would allow it to heal all the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if he's even hurt, but I imagine as a wrestler, you always have nagging injuries. So, that being said, I don't know. Like I said, I see pros of both ways, but if your goal is to main event Wrestle Kingdom and main event a WrestleMania, he is so close to being right at that Wrestle Kingdom main event level right now. He's nowhere near being at a WrestleMania main event level.
Yeah, and you main event Wrestle Kingdom, that WWE will take that seriously. So they actually do take that stuff seriously now, unlike years ago when they, that could be a detriment to you. That's a positive thing.
But it could be an ego shot for Triple H not getting the biggest free agent, the guy that is literally on the ESPN website. That could be an ego shot because that's him. That's what he does. He is the talent development guy. He signs Adam Cole. So I'm pretty sure he's going to get him a good number. It's probably not going to be the number he makes on the indie scene because Adam Cole probably demands a big number on the indie scene. But, yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll definitely see. I think he's one of those guys I did not see. I did not see what people saw in him. And I saw just a few more matches. The matches with Kyle O'Reilly, because I really don't get Kyle O'Reilly, but he sold the crap out of that match. And it really kind of started to turn me on it, turn me when it comes to him. So that being said, I think he'll be great no matter what.
Yeah, I agree. And
I would love for him not to sign with anybody until after, say, Oklahomania. But, I think if he does do New Japan, if he signs New Japan, he probably won't be in America at the time. But, I would love to meet Adam Cole just to tell him, like I said, he kind of turned me on him. But that happens with wrestlers quite a bit for me.
Yep. I think there's one other real quick thing that I wanted to touch on before we get to our top 5, which is very New Japan related. Do you have a Hall of Fame this week?
I do not.
Okay, good. Not good because I don't want to hear it. Don't get me wrong. It's just I'm like, okay, we've been going 2+ hours. We should probably start to wrap this sucker up.
Yeah.
Billy Corgan bought the last remaining vestiges of the NWA. What did you think about that?
He wants to be in the wrestling business and he has money, so go for it. I probably will never watch NWA wrestling unless it just strikes a gold, and then I hear about it. Like I said, wrestling, it's funny. They talk about it being cyclical. Right now, the indie scenes are picking up again. So the territory wrestling is picking up again because it's an alternative to the WWE kid-friendly product. It's an adult environment. When you look at Progress and Evolve, they are very much, even Impact Wrestling, very much adult products, as opposed to that is what they're selling on. That is why they're selling out, is because the people that watch the Attitude Era need some wrestling to watch. And they offered the alternative to the WWE. So you're seeing a rise in independent wrestling, with WWE currently being number one in wrestling, period. But you would say that number 2 spot's wide open right now. Ring of Honor has a chokehold on it, and there's also talks of Evolve being shown on the WWE. Impact Wrestling is really trying to rebrand itself, so there's a spot there. There's a niche there. It's just you got to see where he's going to go.
Yeah, to me, the National Wrestling Alliance, the idea that, yes, it's been still around forever, but its legacy became part of WCW, which is now owned by WWE. So the legacy of the NWA really is WWE's property. They get to claim everything that Jim Crockett had, which Jim Crockett had the legacy, the title history of the NWA World Championship. And, I mean, yeah, it's a name. I wish him luck. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Yeah, he really wants to be in wrestling, and if he can make it work, great. I'm glad that we're putting money into wrestling and giving people jobs. So I wish him the best for that. So let's finish up this week. We've got our top 5. This is top 5 WWE wrestlers that would make it work/get over in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions. Kofi Kingston.
Ooh, good one. Okay.
The striking style will go over well in New Japan. Tyler Breeze.
Oh, how did I not think of Tyler?
I think he's a great wrestler anywhere because he's just a great wrestler. And Roman Reigns. They love big old Samoans because, they have a lot of them on their company right now.
That's, oh man, though, he would, can you imagine him showing up and just getting the utter tar beaten out of him by the two dudes in the Bullet Club?
The Tama-Tonga.
Yeah, and actually they're Tongan, but yeah, as far as probably most people, they're the same difference. Boy, I did not mean that to sound racist at all. I'm sorry, did not mean that as a negative. But anyway, as I stop digging myself in this hole, my honorable mentions, I need to go to bed. I got Dean Ambrose, Mustafa Ali, Rusev, Oney Lorcan, Pete Dunne, and Seth Rollins.
Good Lord.
I know. When I really started thinking about it, I was like, okay, this person would work, and this person would work, and the list kept getting longer. So I had to have a long honorable mentions. All right, who you got for number 5?
The Usos.
Oh, nice.
They're all around great wrestlers. I think if the WWE allowed it, they would wrestle stiffer. I think that's more of their style. They throw 112 super kicks, so that works for independent wrestling. And I think there's something left there. I've always been a big fan of the Usos. I think when their WWE run is over, they might even go even higher on the independent level.
I could see that. I could see that. So my number 5 is a tie. It's also tag teams. The Revival and Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa as a team. I think both of those teams would do very well in New Japan, especially the Revival.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that.
All right, who's your number 4?
Randy Orton. Big old American. Has a move that's over. Very much about in-ring work and it being done right. So, you're not going to run into that problem in New Japan. And I think because he wouldn't be as spoiled he is in the WWE, it would challenge him to go to that next level. And I don't think he would have any of those matches that where he doesn't care.
See, I can't imagine him. He is so pampered in the WWE. He would show up in Japan, and they would just look at him like, bitch, please, and not pamper him. So at least the company might, but the locker room sure as crap wouldn't. And most of the locker room could legit his ass. I mean, just not even, there's no playing. They would hurt him.
Let me just say, Randy Orton is a former Marine, so I don't know if they could most of the
I didn't know that. Okay.
He's a dick and everything, but I think he can hold his own.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, my number 4 is Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
And I was looking at my research, I was trying to pick guys who had not worked in New Japan or either through a connection with Ring of Honor. So, for example, Kevin Owens is not on my list because he worked with New Japan via Ring of Honor. And from what I could tell, Cedric never did. So that's why Cedric gets on my list. Plus, he's just incredible. All right, who do you got for number 3?
Braun Strowman.
I didn't even think about him either.
Yeah. Again, I've just learned the lesson that Japan likes big old Americans because they like to bring in big old Americans and make them sell the tiny Japanese people. It's just one of those things. So, like in the WWE world, Brock Lesnar generally would never sell to Nakamura. He just wouldn't sell to him. Nakamura's a smaller guy. Brock Lesnar is a beast, so he wouldn't sell. But if you go back and watch the Nakamura Brock Lesnar matches, Brock Lesnar had to sell to Nakamura. So it would be fun to watch Braun Strowman be very big, but have to sell to these much smaller people, and it would just be entertaining. So there you go.
I'm trying to think of that one dude who was the never openweight champion for a while. He was on my list of guys who would legitimately kill you. He's that short guy. He's real stocky. Throws these wicked headbutts.
I forgot what his name is, but I know who you're talking about.
Him against Braun Strowman would be fantastic. That would be stiff. Okay, good choice. My number 3 is Luke Harper.
Okay, just an all-around worker.
Yeah, and another big American.
Yeah, another big American. Okay. It's a big thing. That's a big thing there,
Yep. Okay, who is your number 2?
The Revival.
Good call. Excellent call.
Best tag team in the world. They can work anywhere.
Yeah. Yes, I could. Yeah. My number 2 is Dolph Ziggler.
Okay. Selling is a big part of Japanese wrestling, so I think I could see him getting over really well there. I think I could see them actually liking him because he sells so well.
And apparently there's been rumors that the folks that run New Japan have had their eyes on Ziggler for years. They would, if he ever left WWE, they would give him a very serious offer.
But he couldn't stand up on the weekend, so because he's in Japan.
Yeah.
So he's gonna stay where he is.
Probably. All right. Who's your number 1?
Number 1 is someone that was on your honorable mentions list, and it honestly just because he works so stiff, Seth Rollins.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
He wrestles so stiff that it actually leads more to the strong style and the strong style in Japan. Him and Kenny Omega would put on great matches. Him and any of the Japanese wrestlers would put on great matches because he puts on great matches.
Yep. I would very much enjoy seeing him in New Japan. My number 1 is Cesaro.
Yeah. See, I assumed he worked in New Japan.
He has not, from everything I could tell.
Yeah, his independent life was so long, and as part of Kings of Wrestling, he went all over the world. It was just an assumption I made. I didn't Google really anything. I just kind of went off the top of my head. Cesaro probably would have been either 1 or 2 on my list had I not thought he already worked there. The only other guy another honorable mention that I forgot was Sheamus. So I think he's very stiff too. But it would be kind of funny, with the Japanese strong style of wrestling and his pale skin, how all the welts and all that stuff would show up after a match.
And what would be interesting about that is, he's always had this reputation being this big brawler guy, but you would finally learn, okay, how really tough is Sheamus? Can he hang with these guys in Japan who will slap you so hard it leaves marks? So that would be a good call.
Yeah, new dream tag team match would be Cesaro and Sheamus versus the Gorillas of Destiny.
Oh, that would be good.
It would be so stiff, though.
Yeah,
that would be so stiff. And I imagine Sheamus being an Irishman, if he was allowed to cuss in the ring in New Japan, I imagine all the wild stuff that would come out of his mouth.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, if they let Gorillas of Destiny, oh my God, they're so foul. It's like, they probably made Richard Pryor blush. It was, that Wrestle Kingdom match was, man.
Yeah, a lot of F-bombs coming out of that match.
That was, and I have a bad mouth. I really do. And that, watching that, I was like, man, That's
Yeah, because we've been conditioned in the WWE that that's not allowed to happen.
right.
So it was very much it was like cussing in an unfamiliar setting for us.
Exactly. Well, that's pretty much it. Do you have any ideas for our top 5 for next week?
I think we should go back to the one we were doing before. I forgot what it was now because I actually had done the list. I hate when I have lists and I don't remember what they are.
The heel turns?
Yes. So, yeah, I had that top 5 list already written, so let's see.
All right, we can do that one. And so that's going to pretty much do it for this week. Don't forget to check out our website, aroundtheringok.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at aroundtheringok, where Floyd does live tweeting during Raw and SmackDown. Very entertaining stuff. He's got some good tweets, some good hot takes. So you check that out. And Floyd, where can people find you online?
They can find me on Facebook at Floyd Johnson Jr. On Twitter, I would actually rather you just go with the Around the Ring, follow the Around the Ring one, because that's when I tweet during wrestling. My personal one is very, very, very boring because I hardly ever tweet on it.
There you go.
So definitely follow the Around the Ring. Again, let me tell you, Dave was right when he said it's hot takey. It is what I'm thinking at that moment. Before Sunday, it may change. But at that moment, it's pretty much my unfiltered, except for a little thing. I try not to offend, but yeah, because I have highly offensive thoughts most of the time. So that's about it. Otherwise, I try to keep it about wrestling. So enjoy that. But yeah, follow me there, or you can add me on Facebook, Floyd Johnson Jr. You can ask to join the club. The club is my information source most of the week. I love the fact that Dave's in it, and I love that it's become an entity on its own. I hardly post a lot of the time during the week, and it goes on when they're not. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, the club is a really fun group on Facebook. You should definitely join it.
And the one thing is, I am very strong, and if the group has agreed, and we have a lot of guys that agree, we don't like each other. It's all about the wrestling. I know that's why I fall out the groups, out of different groups. If you have a different opinion, you get attacked. No, if you have a different opinion, it's an open discussion. People might want to know why you have that opinion, but no one's going to find pictures in your Facebook and start insulting your family or anything like that. It's just about wrestling, and that's. And I'm not really advertising it because, like I said, I like that it's somewhat of a close-knit group. But if you think that is your type of group, then definitely come join us.
Definitely, I agree, and I hadn't put the whole 2 and 2 together about people not ripping into each other. I was just thought it was a whole bunch of nice people. So
no, I am very. I will kick you out as quickly as I press add. I will kick you out because it's a TV show.
There you go. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, that's gonna do it for us for this week. You got any final thoughts before we get out of here?
All right. Just know we got another. We get a couple non-pay-per-view weeks in wrestling, so we get to have an actual decent amount of wrestling without being oversaturated. So enjoy your week, watch a lot of TV, and just remember, life, as they say, is a work. You may remember to kick out at 2. We'll see you next time around the ring.
You've been listening to Around the Ring on the Spark Radio Network.
All you have to do is change your point of view. And believe.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. Bam!
That sucks more than anything that I've ever fucked before.
What? It's for charity.